All right, are we all set and ready to go? Awesome. Well, thank you all for your patience and for joining us today. Welcome to the Seawolf community. We are really thrilled that you are joining a wonderful, inclusive campus as your choice of collegiate institution. My name is Emily Hoey. My pronouns are she, her. I am a graduate intern in the new student programs office for the summer. I'm joined by some incredible folks that are here to walk you through what diversity and support services look like here at Stony Brook. This is a topic that is really close to the heart of everyone on this call, as well as everyone at the institution. So we're really glad that you've joined us today. We've set up a Q&A so that you can drop different questions that you have during the presentation. Don't feel like you're interrupting by any means, so just drop them in there. We've also set it up that you can upvote questions if you also had that question or are curious about that. Our presenters are doing a great job breaking up tasks of being able to answer questions in the chat, as well as respond to things live. We're also recording this session, so it will be on YouTube later so that you can come back and revisit it or tell your friends that are also curious about diversity and support services at Stony Brook to check it out. We're also joined by a few of our peer assistant leaders. If you haven't had the chance to meet them yet, Abby, Merlissa, and Poojan are some of our amazing student leaders, and they're here to offer that student perspective. So if you are curious about the professional staff side or the student side, we've got it all handled. So you are in the right place at the right time. And now I am really happy to pass it off to Cheryl Chambers to welcome us as the Associate Dean for Multicultural Affairs.
Good afternoon. Thank you so much. And welcome. It's my pleasure really to welcome all of you who are our newest Seawolves. The fall semester has not begun yet, but you're Seawolves already, and we want to congratulate you and just let you know how excited we are that you will be joining us in the upcoming semester, especially as we open our campus, and will be a full campus with students returning and commuter students experiencing Stony Brook, and us all being together again. So welcome. Next slide. Okay, well, I'm here to just talk a little bit about diversity, and that is really one of the hallmarks of Stony Brook. Not only are we cultural diverse as a university, and really one of the top diverse institutions across the country, but we're also academically diverse, with many colleges and schools, a ton of academic programs, research experiences, and all sorts of ways that you can learn. Next. But I'm going to talk a little bit about culture, because our cultural diversity is really also one of our strengths that goes hand in hand with our academic diversity. And all of us are diverse people, right? We come from different backgrounds, we eat different foods, customs, rituals, all sorts of different beliefs. That's what makes our community really strong, is the diversity that we have, because not only do we appreciate each other, but we pull on each other's strengths. Next. Yes. In multicultural affairs, the area that I work in, our diversity is what we focus on. And we partner with areas across the campus, not only to improve, or not improve, but increase our diversity awareness, but also to celebrate our communities, our sub-communities and different communities, to really learn and grow with each other. And here's just a partial listing of the many different areas that we work with. And these are areas that you as new Seawolves will also be engaging in when you come here in the fall. LGBTQ services and others. We also have power partnerships with our student clubs, student clubs and organizations, and also our academic departments, because here we are all about diversity, and we really do create this inclusive environment where everyone, and even you, will be embraced and welcomed and a part of the Stony Brook experience. Next. In multicultural affairs, lots of diversity related programs that all students can be involved in and be included in, not only in the programs themselves, but the planning of the events. Here on this campus, we have diversity theme months every month, from Hispanic Heritage Month, Native American Heritage Month, for example, Black History Month, Women's History Month, Pride Month, Asian Heritage Month. Lots of programs, opportunities to be involved, to learn about others, and also to lend your support and engagement. Multicultural shows and events. And we also have within my office, Multicultural Affairs, opportunities for students to develop their leadership skills. So you'll be able to do that, as well as employment opportunities, internships, all sorts of ways to be involved, not only Multicultural Affairs, but in the campus across the campus in many different ways. And of course, academic experiences, whether they're in the lab or in a clinical or outside of a lab, you'll be interacting with so many people with so many different backgrounds and perspectives. And that's what really makes things really great here. Next. I just want to tell you about our community pledge. Many years ago, Seawolves, just like yourselves, came together and they developed a statement that they felt really reflected what our values and our ideals are around respect and dignity and diversity and inclusion. We've recently updated this statement called the Community Pledge, and it focuses on how important our values are around maintaining dignity and respect as a community, freedom of expression, that is, and expression across all identities, in all cultural backgrounds and perspectives, challenging racism, because we do not want to be a place where racism thrives, because that will undermine our strength as a community and as a fair and just space and place for all of us to learn and grow. Next. And that pledge is really about accountability. Each of us being accountable to ourselves, but also to each other, to really uphold what it takes to be a community where everyone is treated fairly. And of course, we celebrate, we learn about each other, and we honor each other's diversity. Next. We're committed. Yes, our university has policies and procedures, and we also are a space where we want to be free from any forms of discrimination and any forms of unfair treatment. This is what makes us an inclusive community. And so we have policies and procedures regarding that. And if we need to, we step up and we address things in an official type of way. Next. We have key campus resources here. So if, and I hope that you never ever have to experience any form of discrimination or sexual misconduct or gender-based discrimination on this campus. But should that happen, we are at the ready to address issues and students' concerns. We have a number of departments within student affairs, but also academic affairs. We have an Office of Equity and Access. And of course, our Chief Diversity Officer, who is the Senior Vice President for Equity and Inclusion on this campus. And we all work together to ensure that this is a place where everyone feels welcome. You as new students will feel welcome. Your family and significant, others will feel welcome here, because that's what Stony Brook is about. And that's what really makes us unique. We have a system for reporting, and we address and we investigate if that is necessary. Next. So as a new Seawolf, it's really about finding community. I call the university really like a community of communities, because there are so many different sub-communities that are here. And that's a really beautiful thing, because you can be a part of so many different aspects of Stony Brook. But one of the great ways to find community, and you can begin to do this this summer, is to download the Quark app onto your phone if you haven't done that already, and then go to the SB Engaged app to connect to all of the information about the activities and events and opportunities that are here on campus. Next. Yeah. Campus centers. And these are gathering places. And I'm so excited that we're going to be able to open up these spaces again. When you return, you'll be able to visit the Stony Brook Union, which just opened a year ago, a beautiful space that has a cultural center in it, our Office of Student Life in it, new student programs office, many student support offices, and gathering spaces for programs and events. I'm sure that you're going to be visiting the Stony Brook Union frequently. And then there's the Student Activity Center as well. Similar function to the Stony Brook Union. These are our community centers on campus. Next. And the LGBTQ Center, which you'll be hearing more about a little bit later on. Again, another wonderful center for students who are members of our LGBT community, but all of us who are allies and supporters of the rich diversity that is there. Next. And coming this fall will be the Unity Cultural Center. And it's located in the Stony Brook Union as well. A new center will be opening about the middle of the semester for you to enjoy. And these are just some renderings of the beautiful space that's going to be there. And this, again, is another space to study or relax or to even enjoy many of the cultural programs that student clubs and organizations will be hosting. And in fact, here at Stony Brook, we have over 350 student groups. So you've got a lot to select from. But of those 350 groups, about 100 of them are cultural or ethnic interest-based clubs and organizations that are managed and run by students. And they offer a whole bevy of programs, leadership development opportunities, and ways of getting connected. Next. So that is what I wanted to tell you as a general overview. Just really get ready to be immersed in the diversity that is here, and also to share about who you are and your background with fellow Seawolves and with this campus community, because this is what makes us rich and this is what makes us great. And so again, I welcome you and I'm excited and looking forward to seeing you in person. And now I'm going to pass this on to Chris Tanaka from LGBTQ Services, who is going to tell you about that area, LGBTQ Services, and the center that we have here on campus. Chris?
Awesome. Thank you so much, Cheryl. You sort of laid out the foundation to all of the things that make Stony Brook great, and I get to talk about this one little piece. So we can go to the next slide. I'm going to talk about LGBTQ services and the LGBTQ Center. My name is Chris Tanaka. I use they, them, theirs pronouns, and I'm the Assistant Director for LGBTQ Services here at Stony Brook. Next. So basically, a little bit about LGBTQ services. So we're committed to engaging the Stony Brook University community in the creation and maintenance of a safe, healthy, supportive, inclusive, and affirming environment for LGBTQ communities. So in a lot of spaces, you may see LGBTQ+, LGBTQIA, or many other iterations. At Stony Brook, we use the asterisk. And the reason why we use the asterisk is because it's a wild card. And our students thought it was important to say any other identities that are a part of our LGBTQ communities already have a spot. So like an asterisk is a placeholder. If you use it in a Google search, it'll fill in the blank. And so our students thought, like, here's your spot, you let us know who you are. And they like that better than the plus, because the plus sounded or felt like for a lot of folks an add-on. So a lot of people ask questions about that. That's where the asterisk comes from. Sometimes people say LGBTQ star folks, but it's a little bit more than that. So our core values are opportunity, access, and inclusion, advocacy, education and outreach, intersectionality, community building, and of course, social justice. Next. Next slide. All right, so a lot of the things that we do occur within our LGBTQ Center. It opened up in 2018, and it's a beautiful space that was designed specifically to be an LGBTQ center. It is in West Side Dining, right up on the second floor. And it's a space that a lot of folks come to study and hang out during the day. There are small meeting spaces, there's a larger meeting space. And depending on health and safety things, there's some kitchen available there as well, with a sink and a refrigerator and things like that. It's a really amazing space, and I think one of the things that makes it as fantastic and welcoming and warm as it is are the folks who hang out there. And so I hope that includes some of you. Next. So our services are basically broken into three main areas: educate, advocate, celebrate. You'll see it all over the place on all of our materials. And each of those areas are broken down into sort of sub areas, right? So when we talk about educate, we're talking about educating larger communities, sort of the entire Stony Brook community, about LGBTQ folks and things that are important to know about LGBTQ folks, including just awareness and history, in addition to, how to respectfully communicate and interact with LGBTQ folks. But we also do education within LGBTQ communities about really important topics that impact them specifically. And then there's advocate, right? So advocate also, where you'll see this theme of large scale, small scale, right? So on a large scale, we do advocacy across campus. Some of the things that we've worked on are, gender inclusive housing, all gender restrooms, the chosen or preferred name policy. So these larger campus-wide advocacy efforts. And then on a smaller scale, we advocate for individual students or groups of students who come and say like, hey, this thing happened and I need assistance navigating a resource or whatever. So again, large and small scale advocacy. And then of course, celebrate, because everybody loves to celebrate. You got to celebrate all of the amazing diversity within LGBTQ communities, sort of on a larger scale, again, big campus-wide programming, celebrating things like Pride Month that just ended yesterday, sad day, but for us at LGBTQ Services, it's always Pride Month. And then of course, celebrating individuals and smaller groups of folks by showing off their talents and just highlighting some really amazing things that they're doing, or art, or their academics. So lots of celebration always. Next. One of the biggest ways to celebrate are through our LGBTQ campus traditions. Here are just a couple of them. There are a bunch, but our campus traditions for LGBTQ folks are really intended to make sure that we are celebrating LGBTQ folks as a university, as community, and each other, right? So Queer Grounds, open house and open or coffee house and open mic is an opportunity for folks to show off their talents. A lot of our students were really involved in music and the arts and things in high school, and maybe that's not their major, and so they don't get a chance to really show it off anymore. So this is an opportunity for folks who are studying specifically any sort of artistic expression, as well as folks who haven't had a chance since they've gotten to college. We do things like Rainbow Fall Feast, which is a holiday type celebration in November. We do a ton of mixers and open houses. And then Lavender Graduation is always the way that we send off our LGBTQ students out into the world and celebrate all of their accomplishments here. Next. So another really important thing that we do is helping folks navigate campus resources and policies. Cheryl mentioned earlier that we have some really strong policies in place to protect our students and to make sure that everyone is interacting respectfully. So we do have a non-discrimination policy that is inclusive of sexual orientation, gender identity, and gender expression, among lots of other things. Our chosen and preferred name policy allows folks to use a different name than what is on a government issued ID. For the purposes of the campus. So in your classes, your email address, on Blackboard, things like that. There's also gender inclusive and gender affirming housing options. So if you're living on campus and you're nervous about living in same gender housing, or you're afraid of being put in the wrong gender for same gender housing, there are options, right? So gender inclusive housing is available, as well as being able to be housed based on your own understanding of your gender. And then, of course, all gender restrooms. This is something that Stony Brook sort of piloted early on, but over the summer, it's become a SUNY-wide thing that all single stall restrooms are now considered all gender. And so Stony Brook was actually one of the first campus in SUNY to have multi-stall all gender restrooms. And you can see those in our Student Activity Center, our Campus Recreation Center, and coming soon to our brand new Student Union. And, you know, obviously there are other resources and policies that come up that students might need assistance with. And so we're always happy to help and make sure that folks are navigating well. Next. And then, of course, there's just a ton of stuff happening. So between LGBTQ services and the student organizations that we work with, there's always something happening. So it's, if you're interested in keeping up with what's going on, follow us on social media, sign up for our newsletter. And as Cheryl mentioned, SB Engaged and the Quark app is a really awesome place to find out what's happening. Our website also has a up-to-date live Google Calendar that you can see what's going on. Not only that we are hosting as LGBTQ services, but also student clubs and organizations that we work with have stuff posted on there, as well as other campus events that might be of interest to our LGBTQ student communities. And I think that's it for me. Thanks so much. I'm going to pass it on to my friend Pamela File from Veterans Affairs.
Thank you, Chris. Welcome, everybody. I am Pamela File from Veterans Affairs. So next. Perfect. So that's me. A little bit about me. I am the Assistant Director for Military and Veterans Affairs. You can see my contact information there, my email and phone number. I am a veteran as well as a Stony Brook alum. So I can often relate to those student veterans and their dependents and our allies out there. So that's a little about me. Next. Perfect. So in Veterans Affairs, we do a lot on campus, kind of, you know, like the other offices that have spoke and will speak. I would say half of what we do is try to help our student veterans and their dependents receive educational benefits that they have earned through the VA. This is very well deserved and very important, and not not always as simple as a process as that you might expect. So we are here to help out with that and get you going in that process. And a lot of the question for students is usually, where do they start? So I hope some of you on this call knew that Veterans Affairs would be here, and you have GI Bill questions, and will help answer them. But you guys are also the first among your crowd to be out and about with the new Seawolves and to know where these students can get that information. So if you ever hear anybody who has no idea how to get GI Bill information, send them my way and we can help them. So the first thing that you will do is go to stonybrook.edu/vets. That's our website. And if you click on apply, once you get there, there is a big link that says use this form. That form brings you to a Google form, and that gets filled out every semester that you want to use GI Bill benefits. That's really important. It asks for all your bio information, as well as some paperwork, along with some embedded videos on how to get that paperwork and, you know, where to find it and upload it. And then that information goes up to us, and then we send that information up to the VA. So this is the important form that you need to fill out every semester to receive GI Bill benefits. Next. And we also have some exciting stuff going on in our department. So you are the first incoming class to be back on campus and be coming into our Veteran Lounge. So we are located in the Student Activity Center, the SAC. My office is room 218, and right next door in 220 is your Student Veteran Lounge. And you can see the lovely picture of it there. A great space to study in, to hang out, to just kind of decompress. If you have some Zoom classes in between your in-person classes, there are also some nice desks in there. Pop in some headphones, and this is a good quiet space to take those classes in. The other exciting news is that this space is going to go through a renovation very soon. So you might get some news that the space is closed down for a little while, but it will be a fully renovated space with our student veterans in mind, and will be bigger and better soon. So that will be exciting. There will be lockers in there, a kitchen, a very important point of not having anybody's back to the door. So if there are any student veterans on the line, this is a big deal for us. So nobody's back will be to the door in the whole space. That's very exciting. And it will be connected to our student veteran offices, which is where my office is. So the whole space will be connected. So we're really excited about that upcoming renovation. Next. You can also make an appointment with me at any time. Now, as we move forward, we're all going to be back in person, and you can stop by the office anytime, but we have implemented virtual appointments that we still have going. So if you visit our website, stonybrook.edu/vets, you can click on under virtual services, a link that says schedule a meeting. And we'll send you over a Zoom link, and we can have a quick scheduled chat with any questions you might have. Next. All right, so that's all my slides. A couple other things we do on campus. If you are on this call thinking I'm not a student veteran, so this has nothing to do with me, we do run a lot of patriotic events on campus, a lot of educational events about our student veteran population and what they do. So please come to our Veterans Day ceremony, a great event where we celebrate our student veterans and a lot of our faculty and staff who have also served. November is Military Appreciation Month at Stony Brook. So we do some great events then. We have a Memorial Day ceremony. There will be a big September 11th ceremony this year honoring the 20th anniversary of 9/11. So lots to get involved with through our office. We also have a student organization, VESO, the Veteran Student Organization, which every semester does have veterans, dependents, and patriotic students like clockwork. So a lot of students that just kind of want to be more involved with our student veterans, even if they haven't served. This is a great kind of place for you to meet some student veterans and learn about their experiences. So I thank you guys all for joining us. Again, please reach out to me if you have any specific questions, and I'm going to pass it on to Nicole.
Thanks, Pam. Hi, everybody. My name is Nicole Chuchulo. My pronouns are she, her, and I'm a program coordinator in the area of student community development. Student community development is involved in a variety of different areas and serves a variety of different student populations, including commuter students, off-campus students, civically engaged students, and also non-traditional students, which is the group of folks I'm going to be focusing on today. If we can move on to the next slide. And we can go on to the next one. 2 intros for you there. Okay, so just to give you a little bit of a glimpse into what non-traditional students are, if you aren't familiar, typically non-traditional students are defined by being age 25 plus or veteran status. These two are usually the most common indicating factors because they're the easiest to quantify with readily available data. We could easily look you up in Solar based on that information. But there are a number of other characteristics that can classify you as a non-traditional student as well, such as being financially independent, having a child or your own dependent, being a single caregiver or parent, perhaps having your GED or not a traditional high school diploma, having any sort of gap year or delaying secondary enrollment in any way, being a part-time student, working full-time, all those sort of things with for sure a focus on our adult learners. And one thing that's really interesting is that there's actually been some new data that's come out, and about 78% of students nationally identify with having one or more of these characteristics, which is really interesting. So we can go ahead and move on to the next slide. So now I'm just going to talk about some resources that are available for the student population here on campus. The first one I want to highlight is our non-traditional student orientation program. I'll just preface this by saying, of course, you have access to all of the same wonderful programs through new student programs that have been communicated to you so far, and Welcome Week and all that wonderful stuff. This is kind of just a supplemental program to really expose you to other both current and incoming non-traditional students and some campus areas that are going to be very relevant to your population. So at this orientation session, there are going to be representatives from academic transfer advising services, Veterans Affairs, student community development, etc. And the real highlight of this session is a live Q&A featuring current non-traditional student panelists who can give some perspective about their experience on campus, how they found their niche, what their successes and what their challenges have been like, which can be really helpful as you're just starting your own journey. You could save the date for this. This is going to be on August 15th from 10:30 a.m. to 12 p.m. via Zoom. If you are over the age of 25 or a veteran status, we'll be reaching out to you with this information. If you identify with any of the other characteristics that I talked about, but you're not necessarily at that age threshold, don't hesitate to reach out to new student programs or student community development because we're happy to give you access to that session as well. We can move along to the next slide. Now I'm going to talk a little bit about some of the programs and involvement opportunities. Again, just prefacing this within the context of the larger campus communities and the 300 plus clubs and organizations that we have that you have access to. These are just some non-traditional student specific things. So we host our non-traditional student appreciation week annually, so once per semester, and that is just a week's worth of programs that really celebrate you and all of your valuable contributions to the campus community. We run our Driving Force campaign, which is a great way for you to kind of acknowledge, the loved ones and support systems in your life who are helping you through your college journey and motivating you. We do a lunch on us, where we get folks together for a large lunch on the department where you can kind of connect and share stories. We do a lot of grab and go sort of options for parents, for student parents who have children, whether those are with paint kits, relaxation packs, all that kind of stuff. We've got some parents night out programs in the work as well. So lots of fun programs and events happening throughout the year. We also have a National Honor Society specifically for non-traditional students on our campus. This is the Alpha Sigma Lambda National Honor Society Pi Omega chapter. This is a membership only organization. Depending on the GPA threshold that you're meeting, we may reach out to you. You'll get to come to our induction ceremony. You'll get your certificate and your membership card. And even if you don't qualify for the Honor Society, Alpha Sigma Lambda is a wonderful organization that we have a close partnership with, who also offers a variety of scholarships each year, and you don't necessarily need to be a member of that Honor Society to qualify for that scholarship. And you can hear about all of these opportunities and events through our non-traditional student newsletter, which we send out usually once a month, sometimes twice a month, depending on how much we have going on. Again, these automatically go to all students over the age of 25 and veteran students, but you can also opt into this newsletter by emailing us at studentcommunitydevelopment@stonybrook.edu. In addition to that, we also have our non-traditional student awards, which again, just recognize some of the valuable contributions our non-trad students are making to the campus community. You can nominate yourself, friends, you can opt to have professors nominate you, and there is an award ceremony for that as well. A great way to kind of build up that resume and just get recognized for some of the awesome work that you're doing. And there are a number of student organizations as well. I know Pam mentioned VESO earlier. We also have the Students with Children Club on campus as well. They're really active. They do so much work, great work. If you are a student parent, they host a lot of family movie nights, whether those are virtual or in person. They have a support group through CAPS, which can be really, really helpful. And they're just a really great community of folks to get involved with, particularly if you're a student parent. And you can find all this information on our website, which is stonybrook.edu/SCD. We can move on to the next slide. I also just wanted to mention our newly opened campus-wide lactation rooms. So if you are a new parent and you are in need of a quiet and safe space to pump, we have several locations across campus in the Stony Brook Union, the Student Activity Center, the Social Behavioral Sciences building, and even over on the hospital side in the HSC as well. Each room provides hospital-grade breast pumps, fridges for storing milk during the day, some microwaves, mirrors, blankets. They're really comfortable and quiet spaces for you to utilize. If you would like to request access to those, you're just going to fill out a brief Google form on stonybrook.edu/SCD, and you'll get an email within 24 to 48 hours letting you know that you have your access. Again, these will all be online as of the fall, and I really encourage you to take advantage of some of these spaces. And also, I did not mention there are also changing tables available in those spaces as well if you ever are bringing your child with you to campus and are in need of a location to do that. Those are also in most of the facilities and the restrooms in the Student Activity Center as well. Another thing that I didn't mention on was also there are childcare services on campus as well. That doesn't go directly through our area, but there are some childcare services available on campus. And I know that there are some tuition discounts that you could be eligible for. All their information is easily accessible on our website as well. And we can go on to the next slide. These next two resources aren't as directly applicable, but I think they could still be very helpful. So if you are perhaps moving to the local area and are looking for some off-campus housing support, whether that be in your current property, you're having some issues with a landlord, or you're looking to secure a new apartment, whether that's an apartment complex or a house or accessory apartment through an independent landlord with your family, we have a whole host of resources on our website, and also do one-on-one advising and counseling as it relates to this. You can make an appointment with us or view all of our resources at stonybrook.edu/offcampusliving. You can go to the next slide. And then finally, we also do have a Stony Brook University food pantry available for all Stony Brook University students, faculty, and staff who may be in need of some supplemental nutritious food. This is located in the Stony Brook Union, right in the basement. If you're ever in need, you can come on by Monday through Friday, 10 to 4 p.m. You don't need to provide any proof of need. You can just come in and take any supplemental food items that you require to make sure you have everything that you need. And I think that's pretty much it. Thank you all so much. So excited to have you on campus in the fall. We can go to the next slide. And yeah, that's just some of our contact information. We're located in the Union. And again, all of our email, our phone number, our social media is available on that website that I referenced. So thank you so much. You can move on. Now I am going to kick it over to Beth in Visa and Immigration Services.
All right, thanks so much, Nicole. Can everybody hear me okay? All right, great. So welcome to everybody. Thanks for joining us here today. All our new students, we're so excited to welcome you to campus. It's been a weird feeling being on campus with not a lot of students anyway.
Elizabeth, you're muted.
Can you hear me?
Yes, we can.
Okay, great. Okay, so we have a few slides to share. And
The slides will be back up in just one moment.
okay, great, thanks. Awesome. Okay, so international students unfortunately have a bit more rules to follow than domestic students do, and that's where our office comes in. Next slide. So our office works with about 5,000 international students that are here on Stony Brook, and our international population has about 70 countries in our belt. So we're a really diverse campus, and we really think that international students add a lot of value to our campus population, and we're so excited to have you here. So the international students are either in F or J1 status, and to be here in the United States, you have to follow the rules, that correspond to your visa status, and that's where we come in. We're an advising office. We're here to educate you and help you along your way. But the important thing to remember is you're in the driver's seat. So you have to, if you have a question, you have to come and seek us out. We have tons of information on our website, and we'll kind of give you an overview of some of the important things here. But you have to seek help from us. And that's the most important thing to remember. Next slide. Okay, cool. So we are located in the Melville Library. It's on the 5th floor, room E5310. That's where we're located. We have our advising hours there. You can come in person. We will have in-person advising for the fall. Next slide, please. We will also continue to have virtual advising. So if you want to have a conversation with one of the advisors from your dorm room, you can schedule a meeting with us, and we can do one of these Skype sessions with you or Google Meet, so we can address your conversation. So we really want to be accessible to you guys. So we're going to continue that virtual advising, but in case it's easier just to drop by, we will continue to offer that as well. So these are our advisors. We have a team, a great team here to help you. All international students are divided amongst the advisors. So we have a caseload based on the first letter of your last name. So for example, if your last name is Fung, I would be your advisor. So I'd be handling all of your questions if you sent us an email or if you submitted a request in our system, Access This, I'd be the one assigned to help you with that. Next slide. So here's our advising hours. It's generally 10 to 4, except for Thursdays when we don't have advising. That's where we generally do our meetings and stuff like that, our internal meetings. We also have a new feature. It's a live chat feature. It's on our website. So you can just chat with an advisor if you have a quick question. If you do have a more complicated question, we would want you to make an advising appointment. And you can go to our website to make an appointment. Next slide. So I'm just going to, there's a lot of information that international students need to know. And we're going to go into more detail about all the rules during International Education Week, which is the week before school starts. But just a couple of really important things is your immigration documents. So your passport, your I-20, your visa. These are all really important documents and kind of hard to replace. So you should store them in a secure place and keep photocopies or scans. You know, I always tell students, keep a picture on your phone, so you always have it with you, just in case something happens to the original. When you're traveling with your documents, make sure to carry the original. You will need the original document when entering the United States. And never throw away any old immigration documents, especially old I-20s. You will need them in the future. And if anything ever happens to your passport, your visa, your I-20, always report them lost or stolen to the police, because these are, you know, federal international documents. Next slide. Okay, so COVID has kind of thrown a big monkey wrench into all of the visa rules. So we have had like kind of exceptions made because of COVID. What I'll focus on right now is the enrollment requirements for 2021. So generally, if you're a new student, which probably most of you all are, and your I-20 will say initial status on the front page, you have to enroll in at least one in-person or hybrid course. So there must be some kind of in-person component in order for you to maintain your status, because this is your first semester here in the United States. If you have already been in the United States, let's say you transferred in from high school, and this isn't your first, you know, rodeo here, then you have other options. But new students, as a rule, you need to be in at least one in-person course. Next slide. Okay, so this is another important note to keep in mind is all international students, to maintain your status, you have to be enrolled full-time. So that means you have to complete at least 12 credits each semester. And that means if you start out with 12 credits, but you decide to drop one course mid-through, you know, that's a problem. And that could mean losing your F1 status. So it's kind of weird. It's better in some cases to get an F than to get a W. So even though your grade point average will suffer, your immigration record is more important in some cases than your GPA. So keep in mind that if you withdraw mid-semester, it could have visa implications. In addition, NF, a grade of NF, meaning your instructor has no record of you attending the class, could also have serious visa and immigration issues. So try to earn a grade for all classes to maintain your F1 status. Next slide. So employment is a really important question a lot of students have, because you can't work in all the places that maybe a domestic student might be able to work. So F1 students are limited to on-campus employment. So you could work at Stony Brook, but you can't work as much as you want. You're limited to 20 hours per week. Okay. Now, if you want to work off campus, next slide, please. all off-campus employment requires authorization, and a lot of students don't know this. So off-campus employment can only be used through CPT or OPT, and these are kind of complicated rules that you have to follow to get off-campus employment. So we have various workshops throughout the semester that really go into detail about who qualifies for CPT and how do you apply. So definitely check out our website for more in-depth workshops about these topics. Next slide. Okay, so this is a really important thing that many international students don't realize, but even if you don't work, you still have an income tax filing requirement. So even if you don't earn any money or you don't have a job, you still have to file a form with the IRS. So we have a really great company, it's called Sprint Tax. They come on campus every semester and they do a workshop to kind of help you go through that process. So stay tuned for more information on that. I definitely recommend you join that workshop in February. Next slide. So once you're here in the United States, you've arrived in F1 or J1 status. It's important to remember that if you depart the United States and you want to come back in, let's say you want to go home for summer break, you have to check your I-20 and make sure that you have a valid travel signature on page 2 of your I-20. These signatures are good for 1 year. So after 1 year is up, you'll have to come to our office and request an updated signature. So anytime you're traveling outside of the United States, either come in and make an appointment to speak with us, or just email us and say, I'm planning to travel abroad. Can you just check and make sure I have an updated travel signature? Next slide, please. So here's another big concern that a lot of our international students have. Here in America and probably all over the world, there's been an increase in scams, and international students especially are targets because, they pretend that they're the IRS or the FBI or ICE, and they threaten your immigration status. And they say, we're going to send Immigrations and Custom Enforcement, ICE, the immigration police. We're going to send them to your house if you don't wire us, large sums of money. These are all scams. Don't fall for them. If you ever have any kind of weird emails, weird phone calls, hang up and contact us, because most cases there will be scammers. And we don't want you to fall for any of this. And the IRS, they'll never call you over the phone. Neither will the FBI. So just have your guard up in terms of scamming. Next slide. Okay, so some important reminders. In short, that it's your responsibility to maintain your F1 status. We're here as a guide, but you have to take the driver's seat. And you must obtain a travel signature from our office before leaving the United States. You have to enroll in at least 12 credits each semester. NF, W, or I grades could jeopardize your immigration status. And you should not ask your friends or the internet for immigration advice. We're here as a tool, as a resource for you. So please use us. We want to help. So if you ever have any questions, feel free to ask us. You won't get in trouble. We're not the bad guys. We're here to help you. So if you ever have any questions, please ask us, not Google, not your friends. Come to us so we can look up your record and see what's going on and best help you. Next, please. Okay, so again, we have so much information. There's a lot to know if you're an F1 or J1 student, a lot of rules. So our website is jam-packed with lots of information, so make yourself familiar. I know it can be kind of overwhelming at first because there is so much information there, but check it out and then feel free to contact us if you have any questions or if something's not clear. Next slide, please. And then this is our team. Feel free to email us. We are going to be back on campus for the fall, so you can come in and visit us as well. But email is also a great resource for you. We tend to respond to emails within 24 hours. So reach out to us. We're here, use us. And I think that's it. Thanks for coming.
Thank you everyone for joining us. Thank you especially to our panelists for being really wonderful participants and sharing lots of incredibly useful information for our incoming Seawolves. Thank you to our students for participating in the chat this whole time, making sure to answer in the Q&A. I know that we have just a few more minutes before we officially wrap up. And one question I know that is on a lot of new students' minds is if they have a preferred name, how do they go about changing that in Solar? And if one of our students maybe wants to jump in on that, as well as any of the professional staff as well.
Yeah, Emily, I can definitely answer that. So as a first-year student, I also wondered this myself, and my orientation leader at the time actually let me know that I can do so by logging into Solar, using my student ID and my password. And then I believe it is the third link in the main page. It's called, let me double check here. Yeah, the name is Security and Personal Data for the link, or just like the little drop down, and then you can click on names and it'll let you upload your preferred name. And if you do so around now, as early as possible, it'll upload straight onto your ID card. So don't look at the picture because it's a little funky, but like my preferred name is on here, which is really nice.
Just to add to that, your legal name on record will still be printed on the back of your ID, so it can still be used as an ID elsewhere potentially. And the updating of the chosen or preferred name doesn't automatically change your email address. So if you want your email address to be changed, reach out to me at LGBTQ Services and I can help get that updated for you.
Thank you, Abby and Chris. That's really helpful info. We really pride ourselves on being an inclusive campus and know that preferred names, pronouns, things like that are really helpful for helping everyone feel involved in an inclusive way here. So thank you to all of our panelists and welcome to our new Seawolves. We are going to wrap up now, but again, you can find the link to this recording at the same link that you used to register. It'll be on YouTube. Tell your friends to check it out. See our awesome panelists looking so good, especially our pals in their red polos. And thank you to everyone for joining us today. Have a great rest of your day and welcome to our community.